Good morning. Hello. This is going to be my first stab at a book tag video, and I'll tell you what happened. Last night I was watching some of Steve Donahue's YouTube videos, and eventually went back and started watching his very first videos. And in one of them, he mentions um, that he reads 150 pages an hour for 8 hours straight. That's his regimen, which is staggering to think about the amount that he's read. Um, I don't know if there's much argument that he's the most the most well-read person on YouTube. Seemingly, um, he might be the most well-read person outside of YouTube. For the length that he's been reading, and consistently, the amount that he reads daily is staggering. Um, if he's the most well-read person alive today, um, there's a strong case to be made that he could be the most well-read person in history, because there's more books available today than any other point in history. Anyway, so it occurred to me that he he's read a lot, but he still hasn't read everything. And so I just was wondering, like, what is the possibility that I've read a book that Steve Donahue hasn't? And that's the idea of the book tag. So just for ease, I just went through my bookshelves and picked a couple books that are my best shots at books that maybe Steve Donahue hasn't read. Um, and part of this is um, a thinly veiled ploy to get Steve Donahue's attention. I don't know if he watches my channel. I would like him to, only because I'd be interested in what his thoughts are on my reviews, and probably more importantly, recommendations that he might give based on my tastes. To me, that just would be interesting. Um, so I think I picked 8 books. It's not a magic number, it's just where I stopped. Um, so the first book I think Steve Donahue might not have read is Tropisms by Nathalie Sarraute. It's a wisp of a thing. It's a very strange little French novel. It's more like almost like a prose poem, and it's a New Directions paperback. This is The Holy Sinner by Thomas Mann. The fact that it's a Penguin makes me think that he's probably read it, because he owns all of the Penguin books, but it's a relatively obscure, maybe obscure book by Thomas Mann, Holy Sinner. A Dilemma by J.K. Hausman. And the reason I picked this one, funnily enough, is when I bought it like 4 years ago, and it was wrapped in cellophane, and for some reason I still haven't unwrapped it. So on the off chance that Steve Donahue has a saran wrapped copy of this and had the same thought, maybe he hasn't read it. This book I started thinking about because it's relatively rare, not the rarest book, but it's by Jonathan Safran Foer, and it's called Tree of Codes. It's one of the more expensive books that I've bought, and I'll try to show you why. What he did was, what Safran Foer did, is he took an existing book, and as an experiment tried to, inside that book, write his own novel only using the words in that novel in the same arrangement, and then he would remove all the words that he's not using. And the way that it's presented is through die cuts. So I don't know if it'll show, but the original novel, all the extraneous words have been removed in a very interesting way. I think that you can kind of see. So it's all die cuts. So maybe Steve Donahue hasn't gotten to this one. Pretty obscure old French book. I mentioned it before, The Life of Jesus by Ernest Renan. Same thing, it's kind of old, not very popular. I thought maybe he hasn't read it. Actually, all the rest are French. It's one of my main interests. This book I had a hard time getting a hold of, and it's in French. It says Les 11 000 Verges. Apparently it's an untranslatable French pun. It means the 11,000 virgins, but the verges part, I guess, can also mean rods or penises. And it's a pornographic novel by Apollinaire. He's mostly known as a poet. And it's in English, so the copy that I have is in English. And it's just a dirty French book. This one I'm kind of sure that he probably has read. It's Letters to the Lady Upstairs by Marcel Proust. And the copy that I have, I actually bought it from England because the American version is just Letters to the Neighbor. They didn't want to have the insinuation that the noisy neighbor was a woman, so they like ungendered it for the American audience. And I wanted Lydia Davis's original choice of a title. So maybe he's read it, but maybe he doesn't have the English copy. Not that that matters, but and the last one I think is not a cheat, but it's just this book was only published or available for the public yesterday. I'm currently reading it, and it's Serotonin by Michelle Welbeck. Beautiful cover. So this is a book that's probably in one of his piles of books to read, but it's in that window where I'm reading it right now and maybe he hasn't. And so that's my choice of books that maybe Steve Donahue hasn't read. So I invite anyone that might find this amusing or is interested in to participate. Hopefully, if Steve Donahue does watch this video, he kind of takes it as a compliment, which I think it is. It's supposed to be in the spirit of fun. So that's it. Leave some comments if you'd like. Let me know if you think this is an interesting idea for a book tag. And thank you for watching. Bye.